It's finally time to talk about our real first impressions of Ananta. The last time we spoke about it, guys, we were pretty much blown away by the incredible trailer that seemed to encapsulate what it really means to explore a metropolis. Whether you want to ride around in a helicopter or go into a heist, or if you want to go skateboard at the park, work out the gym, it seemed like there was pretty much nothing you could do in this game. But did that actually translate into the experience that I had here in Tokyo at the game show for the Ananta booth? What was my experience like in regards to those aspects of the game? And then I want to talk about some questions at the end, not so much criticisms, because there really wasn't much I could criticize in that 1 hour, but there was a question that kept burning in my head, and that was, what is the purpose of this game, Ananta? It looks amazing, it feels amazing, but what are we going to be setting out to do? And that's the answer I kind of want to get to as close as possible in this video. And then at the end, I want to talk about the booth experience, show off what it looked like, what that experience was like, how many people are interested in the game, so on and so forth. But if you end up liking what you see, don't forget to click the link down below in the description box or the pinned comment section to pre-register for Ananta. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the first things I want to talk about is the traversal experience in Ananta. What can you do? Honestly, we only had 3 beta characters to play with. We had the main protagonist, we had the bunny girl, and then we had the cop. And the main protagonist, his main method of traversal, which I think is going to be something a lot of people are going to be doing to get around town, is the web sling, obviously. Which, don't get me wrong, everybody loves web slinging around a metropolis. It just feels so free. But most importantly, it's very convenient to get to the locations you want to get to. So that's his method, but he can also drive cars if that's something you want to do. The bunny girl had her own unique, exclusive, like, scooter. It's like a bunny scooter. You get on that bad boy and it's her own little vehicle, and it has its own little mechanics. It's even got like a little jukebox that shows off like this rainbow aura as you're roaming around the street. And I think it's also a weapon as well. In fact, I know for a fact it's a weapon. She did this charge up hammer move that looked like a Monster Hunter hammer charge up, and that kind of like blew me away. But not to get off topic, we're talking about traversal right now. The final one was the police car. That is exclusively available to obviously the police character, and when you're playing with her, you can just like arrest people on the street. Even civilians, you can beat them up and like just like walk them around. If you can take them to jail if you wanted to. And I think that's one of the intriguing aspects of a game like this, and games like Grand Theft Auto. What players and gamers enjoy the most is not just the lawful activities, but the unlawful activities, because this truly gives a air of I can do what I want in this game. And so that was pretty much the traversal experience. The one thing that is burning in my mind is how much more traversal cooking will they do? Will they start dropping characters that are like Silver Surfer, and now you're like on a freaking hovering on a board in the air to get around? I think they could really do a lot of different ideas with traversal with other characters to like keep that traversal experience kind of fresh. The next thing I want to talk about is a very important element in this kind of game, and that is exploration in and of itself inside of a metropolis. What are you able to do? There's games that I've played that I won't disclose out of respect for those games, where I didn't really feel like I was exploring. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you got this big, beautiful city and stuff, but what can you actually do inside of it? And it came to be like not very much. Well, that was the complete and polar opposite in Ananta, and I genuinely and sincerely mean that. I was able to go to the gym and work out. Like if I wanted to do some squats, I can do that. Bench press. If I wanted to walk on the treadmill, I can do that. And then there was a yoga studio where I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it a buck, boys. The Chinese have most certainly discovered the realms of true booty cheeks. They were in this yoga studio with a dump truck and a bandwagon, brother. I mean, they had a wagon in the back, okay? They had the dump truck in the back. I looked to the left, this girl was hitting it with the cheeks out. I looked in front of me, this girl was, you know, doing some hamstring stretch with her cheeks out. And that's the type of stuff I love. That's the type of stuff I think Grand Theft Auto players love. We need more of that. That's the real content, all right? But that was just one realm of exploration activity. I went to the like a park in the middle of a town and played some basketball. I also went to like a mall, if you will, or like I guess stores around the streets to shop, change my clothes. I even saw that there was like a store where you could like buy like CDs and shit. Like it was crazy because I was just sitting here thinking to myself, okay, how many different stores are there inside of this game? And that's the kind of question that should be in your brain. You should be thinking to yourself, what the hell else can I do inside of this game? I mean, I'm already impressed with what I'm able to do because these are things that these are elements that don't exist in the other games that we've played. Usually it's just everything looks cool, but then there's actually all the doors are closed. You can't actually go into anything, which leads me to the next thing, the GTA experience of can I like just tell somebody to get the hell out of their car and start driving it? Absolutely. There is no limitations to that. Every single car of interest that I wanted to ride, I could use my character, walk straight up to them, or to their seat and flash my badge, and they had to get out of their car, and I can take it and drive. The music variety in that regard was also pretty cool. They had like a number of different stations in different categories or genres of music, like hip hop, pop, R&B, soul, you name it, jazz. From my experience, it was leading me to believe that that game was trying to deliver a experience not just for one particular demographic, but all kinds of demographics, which is pretty impressive. Now, apart from that, the graphics are also a cut above all the games we've been playing, except maybe like Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves looks absolutely amazing. Arknight's Infield looks absolutely amazing. This is a game where the graphics are on par with those games with their own signature touch to it. When I was looking at some of the cutscenes, the characters were very expressive. They didn't have any struggles in terms of like, you know how you play some games where it's like, okay, the graphics look good, but that guy is stiff as hell. He's not really moving his eyes. He's not really having any like real personality with his expressions. It was the polar opposite in Ananta. They looked very damn good. And that's a good thing that matters a lot in the anime space. People want to see these characters shine, their personalities thrive and be expressive in order for them to like be more immersed into the whole story or just the character themselves. There's a bit of a cinematic experience with the cutscenes. You kind of feel that same cinematic experience you would feel playing a game like Spider-Man or playing a game like God of War. You know those games that we come out with these AAA high quality where you feel like you're watching a movie? Yeah, you'll get that experience as well in Ananta because they got some pretty sizable budget for these cutscenes. Which, by the way, I think a lot of people are gonna love the main protagonist simply because, one, he looks like a real adult, he's got that playboy aura, and he's very charismatic. But I think that separates him from like the main protagonist we're used to seeing in this space, where they're just like some self-insert omnipotent, I always say the right thing, and I just like nod my head, and I don't really have a personality. I think that's gonna be a real breath of fresh air. I kind of think of like, I forget his name, but the guy from Uncharted, and I think of Grand Theft Auto. And so I think that's something that a lot of people are going to love in this space, which is pretty cool. Now, moving on to the combat of the game, which I think is going to be the last segment in terms of gameplay. It didn't blow me away, I'll be honest. Now, if you're a Batman Arkham Asylum player, you're gonna love it. If you like Yakuza, I'm not gonna say you're gonna love it, but you're gonna enjoy it and be familiar with it. The elements that I enjoyed the most, it does have a solid dodge window that feels good, and he's got this like little silhouette that happens as he does it. The parry is pretty satisfying to pull off, but my personal favorite elements is when you can like kind of daze them and then you get a finisher. I'm such a big raving fan of finishers. And so you have that in this game, and then you can use the environment. There's a trash can nearby. You can finish them off, throw them in the trash can. I love that type of stuff because it pretty much allows you to utilize what's around you to fulfill that combat narrative, which is pretty nice. And so the combat in that regard is pretty cool. But that said, in the beginning, the NPCs were a bit slow on the reaction, which I think is fine. It's the very beginning of the game. It's the first time you're playing it, but people are going to be like, okay, are we going to get some like more engaging NPCs? This is something that we've always seen at the very beginning of all gacha games. That is I think a pretty fair concern. Are they just going to be brain dead? And if that's the case, well, kind of make them a bit more interactive just so I don't feel like I'm just getting away with whatever the hell I want to do. And I think that's completely fair. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is going to be the like heist. We didn't get to really experience this in the beta. And I think this is the point where we talk about some of the things that I saw in the trailer that looked amazing. but I didn't get to experience them in the beta. Heist is one of them. I didn't really get any like 007 mission vibes yet. I don't think we got to do any missions, honestly. I didn't get to like sneak around or feel like I'm Siphon Filter or Splinter Cell. The Watchdog guy wasn't there, and I think that's probably why. That's probably going to be his niche, where if you want to fill that like role, then you're going to need the Watchdog character, the dude pretty much that like turns all the lights out in the city and such. I really wanted to play with that guy, and he wasn't in there, so I can't even answer that question for you. But more so, what are we going to be doing in terms of like creative freedom? But what is the purpose of the game? All this stuff sounds fun. It does. It sounds incredible. And I asked them this as well, and they were kind of tight-lipped about it. But I was like, guys, what is the purpose of this game? Don't get me wrong, I love the freedom and the exploration and stuff, but like, is it going to be a story-driven game, or is it just going to be one of those do whatever the hell you want to do whenever you want to do it games? If you're going to go that path, then it's important that we do have some multiplayer and cooperative elements. You know, me and Ryuku were talking earlier, and we were talking about like, it'd be cool if they had like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like, you can go in there and skate with your boys. That would be a fun, you don't even have to PvP that. It would just be fun watching each other pull off tricks and such. And then there's like snowboarding. I don't know if you guys know, but like back in the day, the snowboarding games were absolute peak. I enjoyed those the most, man. But there's a number of elements, and the sky is the limit with what you can do inside of these cities with those aspects. You can even put your own Mario Kart inside of this city and have a Mario Kart race, or like a Midnight Club or a NASCAR. All of these elements are going to be the things that make this game, in terms of do whatever you want, have a purpose to it. It's like, oh, let's log on and let's go do this event, and this event, and this event. And I feel like the replay value will then extend into that realm of that game has its own value separate from the other games in the space. But unfortunately, I didn't get to experience none of that in the beta. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's a point of concern and interest of, well, are we going to get that stuff, or did it just look good in the trailer? To summarize all of that up, Ananta seems to be a game that has a lot of creative freedom based off the build I got to experience, and it was only a sneak peek into what seems to be a massive project in that regard. But I do wonder what we're going to end up doing when it's all said and done. I think there are people who do want a story that's compelling. They want characters that they can like fall in love with in terms of character development, and they want that to always progress so they can have a reason to come back to in that regard. And then there's people who are the GTA players who want to have that cooperative multiplayer experience, have run around the city, do goofy stuff, buy up properties, show off their life, because at the end of the day, these games do kind of give you that, I can't have this in real life, but at least I can experience it in this game experience. And so that was pretty much my overall impressions, as well as expectations in terms of the future of Ananta. Now, if you're interested, I want to talk about the TGS booth experience briefly, just so you guys can have that available to you. I think it was crazy. I think one of the coolest things about the TGS experience is just seeing how many people will show up. I don't know if you guys know, but this was the biggest Tokyo Game Show in the history of Tokyo Game Shows. There were a lot of exhibitors there, and there were even more people there. In fact, the business day, where usually only like a tenth of the people that show up on the public day appear, almost was no difference from the public days. That's just how many people showed up to visit all of these like different booths and so on and so forth. But the Ananta booth in particular was popping off. There were so many people there on both business and public days that it was like you're packed in like sardine crackers. But the booth itself looked incredible. The music was always bumping that that song that I absolutely love was playing the entire time. It could play 500 times. I'd never get tired of it. Most people are there at that booth to play the game in and of itself. But one aspect that stood out, I think it's obviously, is the cosplayers. The cosplayers were absolutely immaculate. The cowgirl was gorgeous. All of them looked incredible. Even the main pro tag, bro had the aura a bit. There's also like all these little cool booth activities where like you can put a sticker on the wall, and I had to show up Ryuko. He thought he could challenge a basketball player at like putting the sticker as high as he can go on the wall. And so I channeled my inner kangaroo, and I ended up putting the sticker higher than everybody else at the show. What can I say, boys? What's funny is in the middle of this video recording, Ryuku's sitting here and he wants to punch me, but he knows he can't disrupt my video. Oh man, yeah, it's always nice when you get those little elements in the middle of a video, but it was cool, man. I also met up with my boy Duck at the booth and we got to stream together as well as play the game side by side. In fact, I vividly remember showing him the yoga aspect of the gym gameplay, and we were just completely blown away by how good the women looked, in particular them booty cheeks. So this is us like freaking out about that. But yeah, Duck's an awesome guy. It's always a pleasure meeting up with him. We were both also blown away by just how ridiculously packed the place was. Once again, I wish I had footage to show you guys not just the booth, but the crowds behind the booth, because everything you're looking at is the booth itself, but there are just heaps and heaps of people surrounding the booth. And to the point where you don't even want to leave because, well, you just can't walk anywhere because there's just so many people surrounding it. But yeah, that's going to wrap up all of my thoughts as well as my experience as a whole with the TGS and the Ananta booth. If you like what you saw, don't forget to pre-register right now by clicking the link down below in the description box or the pinned comment in the comments section. Huge shout out to the team again for sponsoring me and enabling me to bring this content to your awareness. Thanks for watching, you guys. Peace, love, and happiness. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side.